Hey friends, how are you? Hope you're well and you're having a good week. And for those of you who are being really badly affected by the snow, whether that be in Canada, America, in Scotland, wherever, I hope you're staying safe and warm, and if your power has gone out, that you're managing to stay warm and cozy, and that your power will be on soon. Um, we haven't had any snow in this part of Scotland. We've been really lucky. Today is a glorious day. It is cold. It's kind of -1. Okay. But the sun is shining, blue sky. It is just beautiful. It's Baltic when you go out, but it's still beautiful. So I thought I'd pop on today and do an author spotlight. My January author spotlight is an author that I was introduced to by my parents when I was, about 10, 11? And I just devoured his books. I think part of the reason that I loved the books so much was because I loved the TV show. If I say all creatures great and small, James Herriot. So the first book we have is If Only They Could Talk by James Herriot. I loved the Thelwell cartoons. I thought these were just superb. So this is the very first story about James when he comes to Darrowby in the Yorkshire Dales. The people he meets, the animals he treats, Mrs. Pumphrey and Tricky Woo. I think these books will make you cry. They will make you laugh, cry. You will cry. You will laugh. You will laugh, cry. You will just get so involved with the characters. And he's so witty. He really is. And there's one scene in particular that always gets me, and it's like the calving suit, and I'm not joking. The tears are streaming down my face. I am curled up in a ball with laughter because it's just so funny. So this is the very first one, and I know there are people out there that are Team Chaos, Team Read in Order. I think for James Herriot, you probably do have to read them in order, I would think, just so that you get to know the characters as they progress. Siegfried is a gorgeous character, and so is Tristan. Tristan is, he is just. They were all just so superb, and now when I read these, I can see Christopher Timothy as James Herriot, Robert Hardy as Siegfried Farnan, Peter Davidson as Tristan Farnan, and Helen Drinkwater as Carol. They are in my head as I read these, because I just think the BBC adaptation, I think, was miles better than the Channel 5 adaptation. I'm sorry. I just think, so as I say, James, as he first gets to Darrowby. We then have It Shouldn't Happen to a Vet. So again, you're meeting more new characters. You're getting to know more about backstory of James and of Siegfried and Tristan. Just absolutely wonderful. I honestly can't remember what happens in all of these books, but I know that there are certain ones that are really good. Then you have Let Sleeping Vets Lie, and this is I think in this one he ended up having to do something at a pony club and things like this. So it really, I think so the wee cartoons give you a wee taster of what is going to be happening. But again, as it says in the back, the hilarious revelations of James Herriot, the now famous vet in the Yorkshire Dales, continuous happy story of everyday trials and tribulations with unwilling animal patients and their richly diverse owners. So yeah, Mrs. Pumphrey and Tricky Woo are, they just stand out as brilliant characters that you just absolutely love. Then you have Vet in Harness. Obviously some bull is not very happy. Then there's Vets Might Fly. And this is where we start bringing in the Second World War. A severe case of World War II takes James Herriot away from his vet's life in the Dales and into the training camp somewhere in England. Square bashing in his uniform of RAF blue, he daydreams of the livestock he left behind him. So this is kind of like almost like a memoir of this. I think there's bits when he was in that we have bits when he is in the RAF, but I think it's also him looking back as well. We then have Vets in a Spin. Strapped into the cockpit of a tiger moth trainer, James Herriot has swapped his Wellingtons and breeches for sheepskin boots and baggy flying suit. But the vet turned airman is the sort of all-crew trainee to terrify instructors who faced the Luftwaffe without flinching. Very soon he's grounded, discharged, and back to his old life in the Yorkshire Dales in Darrowby. So obviously flying was just not for our James. Then have The Lord God Made Them All. The war is over, the RAF uniform has been handed in, and James Herriot goes back to where he ought to be, at work in the Dales around Darrowby. Much has changed, but the blunt-spoken Yorkshire folk and the host of four-legged patients are still the same. So it's their vet who doesn't yet know that literary success is just round the corner. So I'm wondering if this one is kind of just when he's starting to write. So I say I'm going to have to do a reread of these. And then we have Every Living Thing. Every Living Thing, James Herriot's first new book for over 10 years, shines with storytelling magic that has made him a favourite the world over. It also reveals more of the real James Herriot than ever before. Here is a book for all those who find laughter and joy in animals and who know and understand the magic of wild places and beautiful countryside. So again, beautiful Yorkshire Dales. Oh, one of my favourite places. And then he did James Herriot's Dog Stories. So this says 50 favourites from the world's best loved vet. So you meet Tricky Woo, and then with Flotbot, Clancy, Jip, and there are lots of others vets that he had, or other dogs that he has dealt with in his life. And then we have James Herriot, The Life of a Country Vet by Graham Lord. This was a biography. So this is the first biography about James Herriot, and you get a lot more background about him, which is really, really nice. I remember really, really enjoying this when I read it. And then my last Herriot is probably my favourite. I got this from my parents for Christmas, and it's The Best of James Herriot, Favourite Memories of a Country Vet, and it's absolutely beautiful. You have illustrations, you have photographs, and I'm sure there are recipes as well. It really is. See, there's a bit that says the country pub, so it tells you bits about the country pub, and just all the different ones, and then The Vet Finds a Wife, Human Stories Told in Stone. From Bronze Age circles to 19th century minds, the distant past seems always close at hand. So it's really, there's information as well. I just absolutely love this book. Again, have not read it for a while, but it's something that is definitely on my radar. But again, you see, you get these lovely little illustrations on the side. The butter churn, and then I think that's a recipe, is it, for pikelets? So you get, it's just one of these beautiful books that you can dip into, dip out of, and just read when you feel like it. So that's my kind of James Herriot collection. I will never part with these. When I'm gone, somebody else will have to decide what to do with them. But you know, we go down to Yorkshire a lot. Well, not a lot. Well, most years we go down maybe once a year. And I've been very fortunate to go to Thirsk and go to the James Herriot World. If you're ever in Yorkshire, try and go to the James Herriot World. It is superb. It is the house that James Herriot lived in when he was practicing veterinary medicine. And you see the surgery, his dispensary, you see where they lived, and you also have a museum of different bits and pieces. There's also a mock-up of one of the interiors from the BBC adaptation of All Creatures Great and Small. You see the car that he went around in. If you know the BBC adaptation, you know that iconic scene with the music as James and Tristan are driving in the old Austin down the hill and go through the puddle, or over through a puddle or over a ford, and that you get to see that car, and it's a brilliant museum. It's a fantastic informational place to go, and I remember we spent at least half a day there. You could have spent more time there because it was just so interesting. And it is really interesting. What James Herriot obviously isn't the vet's real name. His real name is Alf White. But watching a TV programme just before Christmas called Matt Baker's Travels with Mum and Dad, they went to Thirsk, to the James Herriot World, because they were in the Yorkshire Dales, and they met his son, and his son became a vet as well. But James's real name was Alf White, but when he qualified as a vet, you weren't allowed to use your real name. So being a Scot, he can't remember which football team he supported, but the goalkeeper was called Jimmy Herriot, so he just said, right, James Herriot is going to be his name, and that's the name he wrote under, which I think is fantastic. You know, I really do. So I hope that if you haven't tried these books, you will do. As I say, beautifully written, great characters, the descriptions of the scenery and everything it just brings it all to life. And if you can, at some point, if you can find somewhere the BBC adaptations of All Creatures, called Creatures Great and Small, give it a watch, because I have to say they've cast so well. Robert Hardy as Siegfried was just superb. You know, and so were the others. They really did epitomise the characters. And every Sunday night was, for as long as they made the series, that was our Sunday night, watching All Creatures Grunt and Smell. Yep, that's what we used to call All Creatures Great and Small. All Creatures Grunt and Smell was how we named it. But fantastic books, great TV. I hope you will go and read and watch. Please let me know down below if you have either watched the TV series, even if it's the Channel 5 one. I'd love to know. And what you thought of it. Have you read the books? And again, what you thought of them. I would really love to know. But until my next video, friends, stay safe. Happy reading. Bye.